another episode of the Soul Goals. My name is Dawn. I am so glad you're here today. Week number 46 is what we are on of 52 weeks of personal self growth in year number 2 of the Soul Goals podcast. So, to recap briefly, this year has been about self exploration and self development by doing different self growth exercises along the way, specifically a different one each week. My good friend Dixie and I have been doing this for 52 weeks, or we will be doing it for 52 weeks. We've been doing it for 46 so far. And what we do is experience these exercises. We give you feedback on them. We tell you the pros and cons from our experience in it. And we give you what we feel is pretty real life feedback and insights on what worked, what didn't work, in an effort for you to better connect to maybe something that resonates with you, maybe something that pushes you to a place that says, I think I need to do that. I think that could benefit me. Wow, I think that might make me a better X, Y, or Z. So it's giving you the movie trailer, if you will, before the movie. That way you can see if you want to see the movie. There we go. There we go. That's exactly what we've been doing this whole year. So sadly, I don't have my good friend Dixie with me side by side virtually yet again today. She is still dealing with some family issues. And if you would, please send your well wishes her direction. She will be back before the end of the year to give us some insight into how all of this has been benefiting her along the way. I can't wait for that day to come. But until then, I'm flying solo. Here we go. Week number 46. This week's opportunity is called A Side of Fries. And who doesn't like some French fries? I was just last night. It was 9 o'clock and I went, I could use some Chick-fil-A French fries. Literally got in the car and went and got me some Chick-fil-A fries. There you go. Shout out Chick-fil-A up the road. Right? You can't forget the Chick-fil-A sauce. But more than that, I digress. The reason for this week's title called A Side of Fries is having lunch with an old friend for once, as well as having lunch once this week by yourself, solo, like what I'm doing right now, flying solo. It could be dinner. It could also be breakfast, whatever works with your schedule. But I like to say lunch just because it happens to be an easier time for me to be able to schedule it into my work. So there you have it, a side of fries. This week, I was able to connect with one of my really good dear friends that I met through one of my daughter's college sports. We met and had what probably should have taken 45 minutes, a 3-hour dinner last Wednesday. It was amazing. Hadn't sat with her in person and really talked for probably 6 months or maybe longer than that if I think back. Wow, it's been a bit. But it was so filling and so rewarding to connect with my old friends. And what is this all about? The Soul Goals podcast is about connection because we all know that we are hardwired to connect to other individuals, to other abilities, to other experiences. We are here to connect to this world and connect to our life. So, man, I was fed more than just in my belly. My heart was fed. It was an amazing time of reconnection. And the other time that I chose was actually, I went back to that same restaurant by myself about 2 days, no, it was 3 days later. And I had lunch by myself. I sat in a corner where I could kind of do some people watching. I had my computer with me to do some work, but normally I have done lunch or dinner by myself before and felt fine about it because I usually make it a working lunch or a working dinner. But I told myself this time, you know what? Leave the computer in the bag, keep your phone flipped over on the table. Let's not get on social media and start scrolling while I'm feeding my face in an effort to quote look busy or to quote feel busy. Like I have to be doing something other than just eating my lunch or my dinner at that point. So that was hard because we are creatures of habits with these phones, aren't we? We're creatures of habits with our computers, typing, working nonstop. sitting down and having that meal by myself and just allowing myself to take in the sights and the sounds around me was pretty interesting. And let me just tell you a little bit. I'm going to go back to the lunch with a friend. And if you do this regularly, you know the benefit. You know how awesome it is to really connect with that old friend and to go, "Oh my God, I've missed you. Let me fill you in on everything that's been happening." Whether you've seen that friend, oh, I don't know, 2 years ago, or whether you've seen them 2 months ago. If you feel like you just fall right back into that friendship and you just discuss everything that you can and everything that you need to that's on your heart, we are here to connect. So, without further ado, let's talk about the pros and cons of lunching with someone you haven't seen in a while. Rekindling connection, basic. Boy, I loved that. I loved getting to hug my friend, really getting to lay eyes on her where it wasn't on a FaceTime call, or it wasn't via text, it wasn't via email, or it wasn't through our daughters. Yeah. And it brings also this really beautiful comfort and a familiarity. In We all need a piece of familiarity in our life. We all need that space where we can go, this feels good. This is where I can kind of sit back and lounge in, that's healthy, right? Let me precurse that with, that's healthy. I've got a landing pad that's healthy for me. And that friendship for me is healthy. It's a great landing pad for me. It's comforting, it's familiar. Also, perspective and growth. I mean, seeing how each of us has evolved and how each of us has gone through the last 6 months with our kids, with our work, with our husbands, all of it. It's great. When you share your perspective with someone else, obviously, you have this option, this choice to acknowledge, to validate, to receive someone else's perspective as well. So it's this wonderful exchange. You don't have to buy into their opinion and their perspective, but you can respect it. And sometimes when you walk away from the things that you don't necessarily agree with or you don't necessarily buy into, when your brain has a moment to digest it, there may be pieces of that experience that you go, I hadn't really thought of it like that. And that creates this wonderful world of perspective shift that may propel us into new places, new jobs, new relationships, new spaces, new ways of looking at our world or the world of other people that are near and dear to us. So, perspective, it helps us grow. And gosh, those laughs that we shared. I mean, I belly laughed until I had tears coming out of my eyes at one point. And look at the memories that we've had. And another thing too, like a lot of times when we set a lunch with someone we haven't seen in a while, there could be a little bit of an awkwardness. We may feel like we've been apart for a while, and this is a relationship that was really dear to me. And I want to rekindle that. I want to rebuild that. We feel like we've drifted away from one another. So I really want to reconnect because it's meaningful. That relationship was meaningful. So you deserve to have those meaningful connections. Some cons of connecting with people in that way. I hate to say the cons, but I want to give both sides of the coin. Sometimes we have unresolved issues within friendships, and that's why we hesitate connecting with them. When really those tensions and those old wounds that might resurface are sometimes really valuable pieces that we really need to explore, that help us get over a block that we may have in our life, that may have been put in place that has inhibited us in something else. So that interaction can actually help us grow personally outside of that relationship. Also, if there's a lot of water under the bridge, there can be a lot of life differences, a lot of lifestyle differences, a lot of values may have shifted. Different stages of life can bring that on, obviously. So connecting and relating deeply as we used to may not be possible anymore. But the pro of that is to acknowledge that you have both grown. Because, like I always tell clients, when you look out my window, I can see this beautiful green yard that we've cultivated. And each of those blades of grass are unique. And in the 10 seconds that I'm describing this right now, that blade of grass has changed. It's evolving. It's growing. It's science, guys. It's changing. So things don't stay the same, and we don't necessarily need them to stay the same. The familiarity I talked about, finding that place that feels comforting is important. That landscape and that scaffolding for us is important. But also, we're here to grow. We are here to shift. And because we grow and shift does not mean that we are changing the innate person of who we are, the innate person that was present in that relationship when we met, when we had the initial friendship, when it first started. We're never going to get back to that point. And for some of us, I know for me, when I finally realized that with different relationships in my life, it made me a little sad because there are pieces of those relationships where I went, I really liked that. I really enjoyed that part. But going back to it is really something I can't do because I can't go back in time and replicate the exact moment, the exact experience, the exact feeling. But what I can do from that experience is springboard on it and go, this is what I really liked about it. I'm going to take that piece out. I'm going to put it in my pocket and I'm going to carry it forward in that relationship as the person that I am a year down line, 2 years down line, with the things that I've learned about myself and about the world around me. So even though we may be different, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad different. I hope that makes sense. Another thing that's hard for us too is finding time to have lunch with a friend. It takes time, but it also takes emotional time and emotional energy. And it's to make it worth it, you have to plug in and you have to be present. You have to make that choice to find the time to carve it out of your schedule. For me, I have to write it on my calendar. I have to make it a block of time that gives that effort for me to know that this is important. That's just me. Just a little FYI on what I do. Um Also, along that life difference, I want to go back for just a second. We sometimes feel that sadness that I talked about, that disappointment that the friendship isn't what it used to be. But actually, what can be as we move forward and as we grow can be better because with wisdom, right, in our aging process, it happens naturally because we evolve through all the different things that we experience. And I don't care if it's the good stress moments, the bad stress moments, we are continually growing. We're continually absorbing and we're continually analyzing and chewing up our experiences. I told a client the other day, this is how I like to look at it. I think it's about 9 to 10% of our brain that we actually are using. So, what's the other 90-ish percent doing while we are functioning? Like while I'm talking to you right now, what's the other 90-ish percent of my brain and my reality doing? I'm going to call that my back office. It's my subconscious. Like it's back here, faxing, filing, sorting, all of my experiences, all of the things that I've gone through, the things that I've just talked about, the things that I have just that I've walked through in the last week, in the last day, in the last hour, things that my analytical side are all evaluating, and periodically, boom, the back office will shoot a file forward into our conscious mind, that subconscious place. We'll shoot it to the conscious mind, and we'll go, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And when that happens to me, I like to take that as a sign that I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to look at this file. I'm ready to open this book and check out this chapter a little bit deeper because I'm trusting that I'm getting that information because it's valuable for me in that moment. It doesn't make it easy necessarily. Maybe it does. Maybe it gives relief. But for me, in the past, it's made it challenging, and it's challenging to open up a book of our past and go back to chapter 6, chapter 8, and go, yeah, that happened. But I have awareness and knowledge about it. And for some reason, it's come forward and it's really on my heart and it's really on my mind. And that usually means that there's a piece of me that's equipped to do some work around that, to unwind it, to do that deep dive into why it is that that was a trigger, what it is that I can do to lessen the degree of intensity that may have a hold on me, and what it is that I can do to heal, ultimately to heal. So I digress as I usually do. Let's go back to this a side of fries, having lunch with a friend. Those were some of the cons. But as you can see, I don't want to say that the cons are all bad. Let's look at the other side of the coin where cons are concerned. So let's talk about having lunch by yourself. That's a good one. I know for a long time I felt a real hesitancy to doing that. And I used to ask my older daughter, because she used to never want to sit by herself at a restaurant and eat. And I think it took some good life experiences for her to go, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I'm going to sit at this restaurant and have dinner, and I'm going to enjoy my food. And I don't care what other people are thinking about me being by myself. I don't care, because I'm going to value myself enough to spend quality time with myself. Woof, that's a mic drop moment right there. That came from a conversation that we had, actually, that she gave me probably about 6 months ago. And I haven't forgotten it. That's how we learn from other people. We listen to their perspectives, their insights, and then we take the pieces that resonate with us and we plug them into our life and into our work as the scaffolding, as the booster cable, as the thing that can help us then work through our stuff. All right. So you're not alone in wondering, how do I have lunch by myself and feel comfortable with it? If you're feeling awkward about it, then I'm talking to you. If you're not awkward with it and you feel like, dude, I got it all day long, I want to be alone, then, put a pin in this. We'll come back to you in just a second. But let's talk about why it is that we don't. It's that fear of judgment. What are other people going to say? But spoiler alert, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to notice what's going on with you. I'm going to say it again. Spoiler alert. Most people are too busy focused on thinking about themselves rather than to notice what's happening with you. That's kind of a sad comment when I think about it, but it's also a very freeing comment. So there's two sides to that you could unpack. That alone equals lonely mindset. A lot of times we have too. We feel like if we're by ourselves, that we're lonely, and not necessarily. If we're by ourselves and we're choosing to be in a space of contentment and a space of calm, then we really need to do some work around unearthing these deep rooted cultural scripts that we tend to have about, we see somebody by themselves and we're concerned that they're lonely. Now, sometimes that applies and sometimes that's the truth. But there's the other side of the coin. Like I always talk about the pendulum going all the way to one side or all the way to the other side. We have to find that gray area to operate in because it's just so meaningful. When we operate in the gray area, it gives us the ability to see other people's shifts in their pendulum. And when we see someone else's shift, that gives us the ability to go, oh, wow, I see that in me. Oh, wow, I see that in me. Oh, wow, how does that work for me? How does their experience that I'm watching interrelate with how I'm feeling? Or what does that do? What does that trigger in me? What does that bring up for me? That's where true healing really can begin. When we can be really honest with ourselves. And that internal discomfort sometimes we feel about being by ourselves, being with our own company. It's like my daughter says, you got to be comfortable with yourself in your own skin. You deserve to be comfortable with yourself. That sounds like a crazy statement, but I want to give you permission to be comfortable with yourself. It took me a very, very long time to be comfortable being by myself. And now it's really one of the best recharge things that I can do. I think to I had some friends over this past weekend at our house and young kids, and they were talking about the difference in their two daughters. And one of them is a social butterfly. Loves that's how her battery is fed, being around people, connecting to people, giving to people, hugging people. And the other one takes a bit of that and then wants to go and be kind of by herself, but within the group. So her battery recharges in a different way. And she's content being by herself, but knowing she has this stability and this factor of this scaffolding of support around her. So the social butterfly recharges in one way, and the introspective recharges in another way. But we all have that ability to be uncomfortable, and we all have that ability to plug in to that side of being solo and being okay with being by ourselves. It's not about loneliness, it's about contentment. And when we feel like we're not content and we feel like we have a problem connecting in that way and being in our own space with ourselves, it usually represents insecurity. Especially if we're going through something vulnerable, we really need support around us. And I'm here to tell you, absolutely, you need that. But if your body and your mind are telling you, I need silence, I need space, and it's from a space of, I just need grace and that attentive space where I can go, "Ah, it's just me. I need that silence to get deep into what it is that my body, my mind, my higher self, God, God consciousness, my connection to spirituality is trying to download for me. It's trying to send me." We have to get quiet to be able to hear the words a lot of times. Now, sometimes messages come to us with screaming, flashing yellow lights and lots of noise. But 9 times out of 10, those connections come to us when we're in a place of ease, when we're in a place of silence, and when we're in a place of chosen contentment, even for a minute. So if you're hearing this and you're thinking to yourself and saying, I don't have contentment, I'm overwhelmed, I'm a busy mom, I am stressed at work, I have so much demand on me, I'm here to let you know. I'm going to let you off the hook. You are worthy of finding 1 minute in your day, 1 minute, just 1 minute to find a space to be silent, to take a deep breath, to be with yourself, and to experience that brief moment of contentment. That's connection just as much as connection to the world around you and all the people that are inhabiting it. Totally. The benefits of being solo, having a solo lunch, let me circle back to the lunch, the dinner, the breakfast. What are the benefits? Oh, peace and quiet. Love it. Midday, end of day, early day, mental reset moment. Helps to boost your self confidence also and gives you mental clarity that we've been talking about. And here's a biggie for me, it emotionally recalibrates where I'm at. Now, it took me a long time to get to that point where I was comfortable being by myself, like I've talked about a handful of times already in the last 20 minutes. But that emotional recalibration is vital to me being the fullest version of myself so that I can then show up for the people in my life that matter and that I am contributing to. I have to fill my vessel first before I can pour out and fill the vessels of those around me that are depending on me. Totally, totally. It also can create this beautiful creativity and inspiration. It can really help us be intentional in our days and intentional in our approaches to people. Again, it goes back to being comfortable in our own skin, being comfortable being one with ourselves. And that's pretty deep. I go into a philosophical space. But obviously, it's helping us being present. And when we are more present, more consistently, We show up differently. Bottom line, when we are more present, we show up more consistently. And that's what we're all here to do, show up more consistently, connect with ourselves to connect with others. So, my friends, let's do it this week. All right, make a date with somebody for lunch, for dinner, for breakfast that you haven't seen in a while. Reconnect, make it a choice to do it, carve out some space to do that. And then make some time to have a silent, quiet, personal, singular breakfast, lunch, or dinner out in public and just really see where that takes you. Because I guarantee you, you're going to get information about what it is that you need to do, whether that's a trigger or whether that's a, thank God moment. Either of those are a positive because when we are triggered, we have the opportunity to learn more about ourselves, learn more about what's going on with us. And therefore, we then have free will and we have this ability to make a choice to go this direction or to go this direction or to figure out what that middle ground is for us. You can do it, right? And like I always say, everyone has a story, folks, and everyone's story matters. I want you to go out this week, make your story count.